Welcome in, everyone, to a special Cyber Monday episode of No One Asked Us. We have a great deal for you, 100% off a subscription to No One Asked Us. All you need to do
Whoa.
is click subscribe. It's 100%, it's free, 100% off. Doesn't cost you anything. Just click subscribe on our YouTube channel. How about that, Logan?
How long have you been workshopping that one, Greg?
I thought of it this morning on my way to work.
That was good. That was good. I applaud you.
I also
applaud you.
just shared our own video on our own show Facebook page. That's how flustered I am. But things are great. Cyber Monday. Did
Why
you
are
get
you
all
so
your Christmas
flustered,
shopping
Craig?
done? Well, because a couple episodes ago we had someone complaining that we take too long to get the show started. So I'm
Probably
trying
true.
to breeze through all like the sharing to the socials. Like there's some back end stuff that we have to do before we start. So I'm trying to do that really quick, and yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's not worth getting flustered over. It's
Yeah.
not worth it.
I wouldn't say I'm
It's
flustered.
we're just two guys sitting here talking about sports and life, and just this is just how we're spending our Monday nights. So, we appreciate the loyal viewers, loyal
Yeah.
listeners, whether you're live or tuning in later on. We appreciate you. We love your feedback, but just don't forget that we're just a couple dudes talking ball. So at the end of the day, that's all we're gonna be. It's good to see you though. Happy Cyber Monday. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was fine. We went home, my home. We went to Pinckneyville. Christy did have to work Saturday and Sunday, so we did have to come back Saturday morning. So it was a weekend in Louisville while she was at work. But Thursday and Friday were great, sitting and gaining like 20 pounds.
Yep.
Because just filling your face nonstop with some of it's healthy food, but for the most part, the desserts and the sides are not great for you. So yeah, I gained probably 10 to 15 pounds, and it was glorious.
Of course.
Did you go
That's
Oakwood?
We did on Friday. We hosted Allison's family here on Thursday on Thanksgiving, and then we did go back Friday, Saturday to Oakwood, and then we came back to the Bend Sunday, driving through some not ideal weather on the drive home. Well, I was not looking forward to that. There was one stretch in particular that I wasn't particularly fond of, but we made it back. We're here, and now we're back on this thing, ready to talk some rather unfortunate things from a football perspective.
Oh yeah, football.
But basketball, it is what it is. So
yeah, we'll get to football in a little bit. There was something. Oh, we're talking Cyber Monday. Are you a Black Friday shopper, Cyber Monday shopper? Are you a last minute? What do you have done? What do you still have to do?
I've not shopped for a single thing.
Ditto.
Traditionally, I usually do. I usually do some Black Friday, Cyber Monday shopping. I will be quite honest with you. I just feel like it has all changed, and Black Friday and Cyber Monday just don't mean as much as they used to.
Nope, I totally agree.
I know that there are certainly good deals still out there this weekend in particular. But I haven't seen anybody's Christmas lists. Like it just wasn't. Usually, yes, there are certainly days where I have spent a ton of money of my Christmas shopping over the course of this weekend. Did not happen this year. I have not purchased a single thing. Mm-hmm. That's not true. I did buy Allison something that she's already received.
Okay.
I'll show it to you later. You will enjoy it. I have
an extra ring. Is it an engagement ring?
No, that was last year. That was last year. No, I'll just tell you now. It was the Home Alone shirt that Barstool was selling, that the Chicago boys were doing.
Which one was
they
it?
did Kevin's the plan, his map of the house. Yes, big Home Alone fan in the room next door. So I had sent her just a screenshot of it when they first put it out there, but it's sold out immediately. And then as soon as they got more back in stock, I got it. So I have purchased that. She's already received it because she's going to wear it around this time of the year anyway. So
of course.
But that's it. That's the only Christmas shopping I've done. And yeah, so normally, yes, I do. But this year, I have not.
I'm with you with the Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I mean, I was never one of those people ever. I did, I did accidentally go Black Friday and shopping once. I think, living in Carbondale, and I was at home by myself because I had to work at SIL, and I just was like, I'm just gonna go to Walmart and Best Buy and just to get myself something. And I walked in, I was like, oh God, it's Black Friday, and it was packed. I did get what I
Yep.
ended up. I forgot what I was going for, but I did end up getting it. But I was like, man, how do I forget that? That's when
Yeah.
I don't even know if people still stand in line like they do.
I don't
But the
know. And
issue I have now, I feel like back then, like 5-10 years ago, it was like Black Friday, 50% off, 70% off. Everything I saw was 20% off.
yeah,
And like the gifts
the
that I'm
deals aren't the
getting,
same.
that's like $5. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, because I don't spend a lot on Christmas for family and friends and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like the deals just aren't worth it. So that's where I'm like, everything was 20%. I'm like 5-10 years ago, it was like 65% off on Black Friday. Yeah, just the
Yeah.
deals haven't been there. So
There were a few
anyways,
years in around college where I went out on Black Friday.
yeah.
I remember buying a TV one year. I think it was my freshman year of college because we didn't really have a great TV in our dorm, and I went out Black Friday that year and bought a TV. I think I got I don't know, an Xbox or something for my brother. My mom needed to get it. I don't know, whatever. I think I did that one year.
Mm-hmm.
There was another year, kind of similar to your story. This was a few years back when Cameron was playing at Illinois State, and they played in a playoff game in, I think it was Arkansas, and we made the drive on Black Friday before the Saturday game, and I got all the way down there and realized I didn't pack a pair of shorts to sleep in. So our hotel was next to a Target or something. So I did go to that Target like that night after the place was a mess. Like
Yeah.
this was still, when it was still a popular thing, and
Yeah.
the store was just an absolute wreck. And I think I did find some like DVDs or something that day. But yeah, it's not something that I've done a lot of. And I don't think it's quite the same now. It's definitely not the same now as what it used to.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk some sports.
Okay. Great.
We'll start with basketball. There was a game. Was it Friday night? I don't even remember.
It was Friday
Friday
night. Yes.
I think I texted you like halfway through, and I was like, I don't know about you, but I'm like barely paying attention to this.
Right.
And so yeah, it was one of those games. Illinois won 84-52 over Western. It was a game till about halfway through the first half.
Yeah.
And then Illinois took control. 17-point halftime lead and just kind of coasted to the 32-point win, which might be their largest margin of victory yet this season. So
I think it is.
It was one of those games that it ended and went exactly how it needed to go. They dominated pretty much every facet. I'm not even gonna. I know Terrence led in scoring, I believe, 19 points for him. Okay, here we go. Dane had 16. Quincy Guerrier had 10. Quincy had a double-double, 10 and 15. So a good game from him. No one else in double figures scoring, but a couple guys with like 8 or 9. So overall, just the kind of game you needed. 10 of 25 from 3, which is really good. Terrence was 6 of 8, but still 50% from the free throw line. What do you think of Friday night? What you were able to watch?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much watching it the whole time. Yeah, it's as you said, it's what you needed, it's what you expected in that kind of game. Listen, this team has played well so far this whole season. They haven't fallen apart against some team they shouldn't have fallen apart against, like other teams have. Other teams have lost some of these games. There are good teams that have lost games to bad teams. Illinois is not one of them. In fact, they have blown out nearly every opponent that they played, shy of the Marquette game, which, obviously that's a top 5 team. So, yeah, I mean, they played like they needed to play. Quincy Guerrier has been great. The 3-point shooting is still an issue for him. I think that's somebody that they kind of counted on, not necessarily being a locked or a sharpshooter by any means, but like, yeah, I think you thought you were going to get a little bit more consistency out of him, and that's something we haven't gotten. But the rebounding from him has been huge. And getting 10 points or whatever it was on Friday night was nice to see. Terrence, man, if he takes over games like this on a regular basis, nobody's going to shut him down. Like, there's just nobody. Yep. They still have to make free throws. They still got to make threes, but that was a game that you got out of that game exactly what you expected to get. So
yep.
It was, nice to see that. And now you have a nice little break before what I would say is probably the most challenging 3-game stretch of the season. Yeah. So that was a nice way to end that, to start this break. And then, you get this whole week plus to get ready for that.
Yeah. Buddy Imbrots, Western had a baller that number 5 was making impressions. I had that thought about that midway through the first half when it was still a game. I was like, how come against Illinois, there's always one dude that just has a career day? Like, there's always these average players on the other team that just can't miss and go off. He cooled off a little bit, as did the whole other next team. But I had that thought, and I was like, I hope he doesn't come back where he drops 50 or 35 on us and it's a game. But it didn't happen. Dwayne, we are international here. Hey, from the Philippines, where Christmas is a hot and sweaty affair. Wow. I wish. I feel like Dwayne's been in here before, chatting with us from the Philippines. I wish. I just told Christy as I walked in from work, because we don't have a 2-car garage, so I have to park on the street. I'm like, we're moving south. It's the first day that it's like 35 degrees here. I'm like, I'm done.
35, huh? Yeah. 35. Yeah. It's 24 here. We're going to hit 0 overnight.
Yeah, that's your
fault. I live in the frozen tundra, Craig. Yeah, there's an inch and a half of snow on the ground. We're going to get maybe 3 more tomorrow. Though. No. I like looking at snow around Christmas time. On December 26th, that shit can go. Now, my other half will say differently, but I don't. Yeah, it's not my favorite, especially driving in it. Last night was not great. But I agree. Yeah, don't be complaining about your 35 degrees, sir. We're gonna hit a big 0.
That's 0. True. I guess I didn't think about who I was talking to when I said that. I'm a good 6 hours south of you. Logan touched on it a little bit of an injury bug with the Illini. We did know about Coleman Hawkins. He did not play Friday. The broadcast said that he could have, but with the extra days, like the full week before the next game, the Rutgers game, it was probably smart to hold him out, that he wasn't necessary. He wasn't needed last Friday. So they held him out one more game. And then Nico Moretti got hurt in the game prior, and he did not play Friday. I don't think he was in a boot, though.
He was on crutches.
He was on crutches. Okay, so there has not been an update on him. But the way he played the 2 prior games, hopefully it's short term, because he has been very impressive running the point. As I don't want to say Dre has been super impressive, but I have been liking what I've seen from Dre. I just think Moretti is he's prototypical point guard. And he was a lot more what's the word? A lot more well prepared to play. I didn't think he'd be ready to play yet, because he's only been here a couple semesters, but Moretti looked good. So I don't think either of them are season ending, but I think Moretti could be out a couple more weeks.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Moretti anytime soon. I think we will see Coleman against Rutgers.
I will. I do too.
Yeah, I mean, Nico's. We've talked about it. I mean, this is not new. He's the only true point guard on the roster.
Yeah.
Ty Rogers is not a point guard. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn is I would call him a combo guard. I think he can, facilitate and be a ball handler, but I don't think that's his strength by any means. But he is a player that does want the ball in his hands, but he's also a freshman and he's still got some growing to do. So I still think you're going to see bursts from him, where he'll, like he did earlier this season, where he lit up whoever it was for 20 points. I think you're going to see more of those outings, but it's not like it's going to be consistent. We saw this. I mean, this is especially with freshmen, like Jay Nepps had these nights where he would put up 20-some points, and the next night he would go, 1 for 6 from 3 and finish the game with 5 points. So, you're going to have that. But again, it's I don't want to keep talking about the issue, but like, there's no real point guard on the team other than Nico Murray. So it is what it is. Would like to get him back soon, but on the other side of that, I just don't know that he's going to be super effective in Big Ten play.
Right.
Either way, like he can give you minutes off the bench, but I think he's still going to be a defensive liability.
Right.
But I think he can be effective in spurts when he's healthy in Big Ten play. But I don't think he's, the reason he's having some of the better games he's had is because the opponents haven't been quite as good.
Right.
So
Same.
if you can get him back by,
with,
January, mid-January, that'd be nice just to have extra depth there at the guard position.
It's like the same conversation we have with Dane. He's a mid-major All-American.
Yeah.
Although he has proven some stuff against Big Ten teams, he doesn't play as well. He had 16 and 8. He played really well on Friday night. Illinois back in the top 25. I said last week when they dropped out that I prefer them not to be in the top 25, but they are back, number 24. Back in at 24 with 32 points clear of 26. So they're at the top of that top 25 range. So 34 voters did not have them ranked, which it is what it is. Top 5 were some shuffle because Kansas did lose. Kansas dropped from 1 to 5. Purdue up from 2 to 1. Arizona, everyone else just shifted up 1. So Purdue 1, Arizona 2, Marquette 3, UConn 4, and Kansas 5. Each of 3 of the top 4 teams had a first place vote except for Marquette. No one voted Marquette number 1. 2 people had UConn number 1, although Marquette is ahead of UConn. I don't see any other surprises. Florida Atlantic back up in the top 15. They had dropped to 19 after their loss to Bryant. They're back up to 13 because they won the ESPN events invitational in Florida. A couple of impressive wins. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Villanova entered the rankings. They're at 18. They were 33 last week. BYU into the rankings. Colorado State into the rankings. So a lot of the what I would call BYU is not mid-major. Colorado State is mid-major. James Madison is mid-major. They're 20 and 21. So a lot of non-traditional teams hopping into the rankings this week. Anything catch your eye?
No, it's a lot of that early season
Yep.
top 25 shuffling as, teams go off and play these tournaments and you falter, you struggle once against a team like Bryant and you see yourself drop 10 points, and you have teams like Illinois who haven't looked bad all season. I mean, in terms of, they are 5-1. Their only loss was a close game at home to Marquette, who's the top 3 team, and they fall out of the top 25, but now they're back into it. It just, it's just the early season stuff. It really means a lot of nothing at this point.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that Illinois is better or worse than 24th in the country. We haven't really seen them. They haven't proved to us anything at this point. Yeah. So other than that they played well with Marquette and that they beat Kansas in an exhibition game. Those 2 things are worth something, but at this point it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean they hung right there with Marquette, and then Marquette goes on and beats UCLA. Then they beat Kansas by 14. And then they put up a 3-point game against Purdue.
Marquette's good.
That Marquette loss it's not a bad loss whatsoever.
No, and I would like to
season.
I would like to just clear the air here. I said some things in the Marquette post game about them not being as great as they're good. They're good. I was wrong. Like they are. I think they are clearly one of the top, at minimum, 5 teams in the country. I'm not saying, they're definitely going to be in the Final Four. Like that's just not how this stuff works. But they are one of the top 5 teams in the country. I don't think there's any question about that. So,
like Logan said, early season polls here, 48 teams were voted for. 48 different teams appeared on polls this season or this week. So
no one really knows.
Exactly. I mean, Bradley was on one. Nebraska, they're 7-0. They were on one. They're not going to receive votes after the next couple weeks. So yeah, it's gonna even itself out. But Illinois back in the polls. It's always nice to see a number by your name, but sometimes you kind of don't want to. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, but there are certain teams that like the motivation of not being ranked, something to play for. So, Logan said it earlier, and I was looking at the schedule. and I think he's probably right. This next 3-game stretch is the toughest 3 games Illinois will see this season.
3 in a row. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it is. I looked at it this morning, and I mean, you can maybe make an argument that there's a couple, Michigan
There's
or
one
Purdue,
more.
Michigan State, Maryland
Yes, that's
would
the one
be
I'm
the
looking
other
at.
contender.
Yep. What are you looking at? ESPN?
I'm on Bracketologists.
Okay.
I use that website a lot. It hasn't been not everything's been updated yet, but the schedule's at least there.
So I
But
look a
yeah,
lot at
that
KenPom.
stretch. No, I know. Yeah, and I've been on there too. Yeah.
I look a lot at KenPom, and going by KenPom, the next 3 games are Rutgers, which is 62, Florida Atlantic's 21, and Tennessee is 9. Now, 6 days ago, Florida Atlantic was 49, maybe. But their 3 wins over Butler, Texas A&M, and Virginia Tech have them up to 21. Yeah, they were 49 after their Bryant loss, so they're back up to 21. The next closest, like Logan said, would be a 3-game stretch where you've got Purdue at number 2, Michigan State at 20, Maryland at 57, Michigan at 54, and then Rutgers at 62, Northwestern at 60, Indiana at 75. So that's the closest. And then the last 3 games of the season, Wisconsin, Purdue, Iowa, 24, 2, and 40. But
either way, it's in the conversation.
Yeah, this is a marquee early season test. The Rutgers game is on the road. The Florida Atlantic game is neutral site, and then Tennessee is a true road game in Knoxville. So Illinois spent the first month of the season at home, didn't have to play away from the State Farm Center. Now they've got Piscataway, Madison Square Garden, and Knoxville against a top 10 Tennessee team. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the money is going to be made. So Rutgers isn't the greatest. They've had better teams. They lost. Who was the guy they lost last year? Oh crap, he's at Georgetown now.
I don't remember.
Spencer, maybe. Yeah, Cam Spencer.
Oh, right.
They lost him. They lost Paul Mulcahy. I believe Caleb McConnell is gone. So this is a new Rutgers team. Derek Simpson and Gavin Griffiths are their top 2 contributors. Then Andre Hyatt. And then you got Cliff Amarui. I can't say that.
Yeah, close enough.
I'm close. Right there. So only know one of those names. So they're new faces for the Scarlet Knights.
Illinois hasn't won in Piscataway since 2018, for the record.
Was that the year I was?
They are 0-3 in Piscataway since beating them in February of 18.
Really?
They lost there in 2020 twice, or during the 2019-2020 season, and then once in the 2020-2021 season, and then again last year, or 2022. So, fun fact.
I believe, was it 2019 that I was there? No. It would have been 2020. Yeah, 2020 I was there for that one. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough place to play. Like I said, I've been there. I can't remember how many Big Ten basketball arenas I've been to. I want to say 7 or 8. And Rutgers was top 3. I mean, the environment, they're right on top of you. They care, so they sell out the place because they're pretty good. In the past 5 years, they've been pretty good. Their student section is awesome and raucous. It is a hard place to play. So I know Illinois is favored right now. KenPom has it as a 1-point Illinois win. There's no guarantees. And I have not seen enough from Illinois to think that they could win on the road yet. So it's for this to be the first road game, it scares the crap out of me. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. It scares the absolute crap out of me. For when is it? Friday? Saturday.
Yeah, I don't have high expectations. I think this Illinois team is talented, but as you said, we haven't really seen them prove anything yet. They've beaten a lot of not very good basketball teams. So we'll just have to see. If they play like they did against Marquette, they will win. But if they play like they did against Marquette every night, they will win most every game. Yeah. That won't happen. But yeah, this is a tough stretch. It's probably not the toughest now that I look at it. Yeah, that other stretch in January is probably the tougher. But this is how you're starting conference play. It's 3 tough games in 7 days, 8 days. That's it's gonna be a tough stretch. So I would love to come away with the stretch with 2 wins. Don't know where they're gonna come from. None of them are at home, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
So if you can somehow come away with 2 wins on this 3-game stretch, I think you consider that to be a victory. I don't know which is the most likely win of the group. It's either this one or the neutral game against Florida Atlantic. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. Rutgers' offensive numbers don't look great. On KenPom, they're 298th in 3-point percentage. They're 317th in free throw percentage. So similar. I mean, sounds like Illinois. Sounds right along those lines. Illinois is 218 in 3 and 355 in free throw. So yeah, it could be a very close, fun game and nerve-wracking game on Saturday. The one after that is maybe the most interesting non-conference game Illinois played in a long time. The Florida Atlantic game on Tuesday. Florida Atlantic coming off of a Final Four. Everyone back, I believe. If not, they only lost maybe one guy. But everyone coming back. Neutral court. Team's got a lot of hype. It's a mid-major in the biggest basketball arena in the world. Like, this is the Jimmy V Classic, right?
I think so. Who else is playing that night?
It's a great question. I don't know. And I'll admit it.
Carolina and UConn.
Oh, that's a good one. Illinois, the first game or second game?
I don't know. First game, I think.
Yeah, that would make sense. JV game before the varsity. I'll admit that, I thought the expectations were inflated for Florida Atlantic coming into the season. Top 15 preseason ranking. Kind of, I'll say the same thing I said about Colorado earlier this football season. I need to see more. Anyone can get hot in March,
Yeah.
Like, they had a great run, sure. But are they really a top 15 team? I still don't believe they are. Are they a top 25 team? For sure. I watched them play Texas A&M on Saturday, I believe. Their offense is explosive. They got a big guy down low. They got a couple guards that can shoot well. I'm very intrigued for Tuesday. Not tomorrow, week from Tuesday. So I guess we'll have an episode before then.
Yeah.
But I think next Tuesday we're in for a show.
I agree. I think it could be a lot of fun, and I think it's a very winnable game. But we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what happens when these guys are under the big lights of the Garden. But they're going to be under the same pressure too. They probably came into the season with more pressure than Illinois did, coming off the season that they had. There are some expectations there, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, we're still over a week away from that game.
Yeah.
But either way, 3 in a row: Rutgers, Florida Atlantic, Tennessee. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Hopefully.
You want to hit Jay with your stat?
Yes, Jay. We just talked about that. They haven't won since 2018. Illinois is 0-3 since then. 2020, 2021, 2022, or something like that. So it's a tough place to play, and Illinois has some good teams in this time frame, but that's always been a difficult place to get a W for Illinois. So hopefully this is the year they can turn it and try to squeak one out on the road to start off conference play with a 1-0 start.
Another good point from the chat. Conference games are counting big this year. In a year, we play Michigan State and Purdue both twice. Yeah, the schedule was favorable last season where you avoided a lot of the top-tier teams, the double-ups. This year, not so much. Illinois does have Michigan State twice. They do have Purdue twice. Maryland twice. Michigan twice. Wisconsin only once. Indiana only
Iowa
once.
twice.
Iowa twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't stack up well. So yeah, need to get every Big Ten win you can. If you can win your home games and get a couple on the road, and you'll be fine. Anything else basketball?
No. I'm excited to see what this team looks like in a Big Ten game.
Yep.
Saturday should be hopefully be fun, but we'll
Yep.
just have to see who shows up.
Saturday, 4:00 Eastern, 3:00 Central on Big Ten Network. So right smack dab in the middle of conference championships going on, which is great for my attention span. And then Tuesday versus Florida Atlantic, and then the following Saturday at Tennessee, which we'll talk about those next week. Okay, that's it for the basketball talk. Regrettably, we'll talk a little football now. I had a lot I was going to say. I thought about it on my way home from work. I'm going to preface. I've said it. I think we've both said it multiple times. I'm done letting Illinois football determine my schedule, my viewing schedule, I think you said it a couple weeks ago.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, and I've said it before, but I've enjoyed the last couple weeks, and yes, I've had the games on, but I've enjoyed the last couple weeks having like 6 screens going and like paying attention to a good football game and not watch Illinois shoot themselves in the foot and have turnovers lead to touchdowns and 24 points off turnovers where you lose a game that you have to win. It's just not healthy. And that's what Illinois is going to be. So until Illinois can throw together 2, maybe 3, 6, 7 win seasons in a row, I'm just not going to invest in the program. Now, there was some big news today. I was excited to see the news today. That's awesome. Am I going to be happy when Illinois wins? Am I going to be happy when they get a recruit? Like, of course. Like, they're the school that I root for the most. But in the next fall of 2024, come every Saturday, I'm going to watch the games. I'm probably going to have Illinois on the 3rd or 4th screen and watch other teams that I enjoy watching play and not watch average, mediocre football. Wish them all the best. Wish them all the success. Want to see all the wins. But I'm just not going to emotionally get invested in Illinois football until they prove that they can consistently put on a good product. There was a lot more I had to say, and it sounded a lot better in the drive on my way in the car. But that was just kind of the thrown together version.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. That's the same thing I said a few weeks ago. I believe my exact quote was, "I'm tired of pretending to care."
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what this is. Saturday night, I was at my grandma's, and a bunch of the family was there, and like he was on, and my uncle was like getting. I care. I was out running around picking up pizzas and like other stuff. I just didn't care. We had an interesting conversation, Allison and I did, just kind of about life and like sports and how sports play into like my life and everything. And I thought about it. The only team in my lifetime that has been absolute appointment viewing for me, meaning that if I'm not elsewhere, I'm watching, is Illinois basketball.
Yeah.
Illinois football has never been that for me. Never once. The Cubs, like, it's a long season. Like, I'm not watching every single Cubs game.
Exactly.
But like throughout my entire life, granted, yes, there are certain nights where I've had other obligations, other commitments. I can't watch every single Illinois basketball game. But that is the only team in my life that has been more or less appointment viewing for me.
Yeah.
Through the good and the bad. It's not the case with football. I'm just not there. I'm just not there. And like, I'm not pulling for them. Like, obviously I am. I haven't been to a game in more a decade, and honestly, like, it doesn't really bother me. I would rather sit at home on a Saturday. If I'm watching football at all, I'd rather be watching games that are fun and I care about.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that the bar is so low and Illinois can't even get to it. You know, the bar for Illinois is if you go 6-6 for 6 years in a row, fans would be if Illinois went to 6 bowl games in a row, even if they went 6-6, fans would be thrilled. And in today's day and age, to not be able to win 6 games is insanity because your non-conference schedule is a group of 5 team, usually an FCS or a lower group of 5 team, and Illinois schedules one middling Power 5 team. Now, has Illinois gotten a little unlucky in that sense?
And you played one of the
That's the
weakest
biggest thing this year.
Divisions.
Yes.
In the Power 5 or Power whatever.
That's the biggest thing this year. But Illinois has gotten unlucky with the non-conference scheduling because they scheduled Virginia 6 years before, like prior, and then by the time it came around, they had things cooking. You know, that one year they blew Illinois' doors off. Last year, they were able to win. What was the other one? There was another one that South Florida. They lost both games to South Florida because those were like in the middle of their 3-year really strong run. And then North Carolina. Like, North Carolina's never been good at football. Then Mitch Trubisky comes along, and they play Mitch Trubisky the one year and blows them. Like, the non-conference scheduling has gotten unlucky. Now it's Kansas. They scheduled Kansas 4 years ago, who is an even worse program than Illinois. And then Lance Leipold comes, and they are what they are now, a top 25 team. So the non-conference scheduling has been a little unlucky. But you have the FCS that you always win. You should win. You have the group of 5 that you should always win. You got your non-conference. And then, like Logan said, the last 3 years you've played in one of the worst divisions in college football, and you can't get to 6 wins. And that's the big thing this year is that you didn't play Michigan. You didn't play Ohio State. You played Penn State at home. You didn't play Michigan State. You played at Maryland. You beat them. Like, you couldn't even win the division with Wisconsin, who's 6-6, Minnesota, who's 5-7, Nebraska, who's 5-7, Purdue went 3-9, and you won 3 conference games. If that is that right? 3, yeah, 3 conference games and 2 non-con. It's just like, you know, until they prove that, and now the Big Ten's getting even tougher with USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon. Like, these last 2 years were the chance, and last year was great, 8-4. And I think it was Dave Wisnowski from Chicago. Last year started 7-1. I think they're 6-11 since that not Michigan State. Since Iowa last year, they're 6-11. Like, you just can't have that. So that's where I'm at.
I'm with you.
After the game, I did tweet something that's getting a little bit of engagement and interaction. Illinois gets screwed by the refs more than anyone else. While I do believe that to be the case.
Is that true, Craig?
I do believe that some of the calls in the biggest moments of games always go against Illinois. The argument, and I've had so many people reply or text me like, don't give up 45 points. Don't give up 45 points. That's not my point. My point here is it doesn't matter if it's 45-43 on a 2-point conversion to send the game to overtime, or it's 8-6 on a 2-point conversion. It doesn't matter the score. Big calls like that and missed calls like that should not be made. Like, they impact the game no matter the score. So, yeah, of course, Illinois' defense was ass. They give up 45 points to Northwestern. That should never – like, Northwestern's most points scored in a Big Ten game, and, like, they threw the stat up, and I don't want to misquote it, but Northwestern doesn't score 45 points ever, and Illinois gave up 45 points. So, yes, that's on them. They shouldn't have been in that situation. But when it is that situation and it's a blatant hold on the receiver in the end zone, that's the shit that can't happen. And, you know, I always get on the referee soapbox, and that's my point here, is that in a situation like that, the refs cannot make that mistake. I'm not saying that Illinois wasn't at fault by giving up 45. They should never have done that. And Aaron Henry has some shit to figure out in the offseason. But I do feel like every big call goes the other way. And it's consistent. Purgatory. That's why I said Illinois football is in purgatory.
How do you get out of it? Do you?
I don't know that they can.
Let me just.
I looked this
I
up
was not planning on
Saturday.
having this conversation.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I looked this up
No,
Saturday.
you go ahead.
The last time Illinois followed an 8 or more win season with a bowl game was 1991. There were the back-to-back bowls that Beckman took the team to, but both times, there it is again.
We figured out
We
how to
figured
do
it
it,
out.
by the way.
Thank you, Boy Meets World.
Thank you, Boy Meets World.
Or Boy Meets Pod, I guess.
Pod Meets World. I'm going to see it Thursday live in
Live.
Chicago. Pretty excited.
Wow. Oh, there's the thumbs up. Pop, 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 pop. The
We're
last
having too much
time
fun.
Illinois followed up an 8 or more win season with a bowl game was 1991. Beckman went to 2 in a row, but they were both 6-6. So the last time Illinois had 2 successful seasons in a row was 1991. Unbelievable. Go ahead. You were going to say something. I'm going to try and do what was the other one? The fireworks?
I don't remember. So I feel like we kind of touched on this, and I know there's all sorts of like fun little lifts out there in the world because of conference realignment and relegation and all these things. And like I've seen, different people's mock-ups of these things and how all this stuff would work and all whatever. I mean, I think we have to like be realistic, and that if this comes to fruition, I think Illinois has to realize that they are in trouble. I mean, if we're talking about kicking people out of the conferences and like all these things, I don't know what the future of this sport looks like. Let's be very clear. I think it's a wild, wild west for a lot of different reasons. But now that we're in this new conference model that we're in, I hate to admit that the state university of Illinois, a state that has the third largest city in the country, a school that has produced a number of, All-Americans in multiple sports and all these things, would be at risk of whatever. I'm not here predicting that Illinois is getting kicked out of the Big Ten per se. But if things shift around more than they have already, we just have to accept the fact that Illinois may not be included in whatever decisions are made, because those decisions are based on football.
Exactly.
Illinois is a basketball school that's never won a national championship, and these decisions are made based around football. And Illinois is going to be on the short end of it. We can joke all we want about Northwestern like not belonging or whatever. Like these aren't conversations that are happening right now. I'm literally pulling these conversations out of thin air, but like they are conversations that I know have existed in the not so distant future or not so distant past. And it is true. It is what it is. Like this is the reality that we are in. Illinois football is not good. And in a world where football is king in college athletics, you have to just accept the fact that things could happen that you don't want to see happen. That's all I'll say.
The current state of college athletics and the Big Ten it's not sustainable. A 2018 or 20 team conference, I don't think it's sustainable. So eventually,
no, it's not. Makes no sense.
They're gonna start condensing. They're expanding now. They're gonna start condensing these conferences, and where football wise, because that's what's driving all of this realignment. Football wise, where does Illinois rank in the Big Ten? They're
Bottom.
at the bottom. They're the bottom. Actually, one of the guys just sent a tweet last night, maybe 2 nights ago, since the current divisions took place, I believe. No, it didn't go back that far. Yeah, since from 2014 to 2023, which I think they went from the leaders and legends to that point. I don't know.
That was a fun era.
This is the time frame from 2014 to 2023. That is a total of 58. That can't be right, because there are more. Wisconsin would have played more games than Wisconsin's played 58. That can't be right.
You're just
Okay.
making up information now.
Yeah, this graph doesn't add up to me. But from 2014 to 2023, this says that Illinois went 17-43 in the Big Ten West, which is 4 games worse than the closest, which was Nebraska. That is 6 games worse than Purdue and 12 games worse than Minnesota. Illinois was the worst team in the Big Ten West from 2014 to 2023. That is like we were just saying, if the Big Ten starts to condense because the current model is not sustainable, Illinois is going to be on the outside looking in because football drives everything. So when that happens, don't be surprised if Illinois is one of the first to go. But like Logan said, those aren't conversations that are happening now. But if they were to happen, the orange and blue would be on the outside looking in of the next conference realignment. Okay, while we talk all the doom and gloom of Illinois football, there was some positive. They got a verbal commit from a JUCO edge rusher, Daniel Brown, last night. And then they had a top high school offensive lineman prospect on campus this weekend for the game. He is a Michigan State decommit. He was committed to Michigan State, I believe, in May. AJ Dennis, he's from Michigan. He committed to Illinois. He is the highest ranked recruit since Marquez Beeson in 2019. So an amazing get for Brett Bielema. Illinois was the first school to offer him in high school. So the relationship was strong there. He decided to stay close to home with Michigan State. Mel Tucker was let go. He reopened his commitment. And Logan, do you know much about this? Do you know where his 2 other official visits were in the last 2 weeks?
I saw the list that he was up, that was in contention. I know one was like Purdue and one was Penn State and whatever, but I don't know where the visits were.
He canceled his Purdue visit that was going to be this coming weekend.
Okay.
This past weekend he was at Illinois, and then the 2 before that in consecutive order, he was at Penn State and at Clemson. Illinois just beat out Penn State and Clemson for an offensive lineman. So while the results on the field aren't where we want them to be, you can't fault this staff. This is an amazing get. O-line is where Brett Bielema builds his teams. Does one offensive lineman change the trajectory of a program? No, but it's a great recruiting win for the fan base, for the coaching staff, and for the program. So there isn't all doom and gloom right now because this is a great start to the offseason, and a much needed prospect.
Yeah, I mean it's a nice
consolation prize.
Sure. Yeah. It's a nice way to kind of start your off season. Look at you fireworksing. Yeah, I mean it's a big get to steal a 4-star prospect away from those type of programs. That's something you don't see every day from Illinois football. You can say all you want about Bielema, and I know plenty of people have, but he is. I think things are trending in the right direction. However, we're just not really seeing the on-field results yet. So that's obviously what people are concerned about, and they have every right to be. But if you're winning recruiting battles like this, he's doing something right. So it's just taking longer than people want to give it. But it's a big get. It's a big get, especially anytime Clemson and Penn State are involved in football recruits. Like, you have to take this seriously. And Illinois swooped in and stole them right from there. So big get for the Illini. Hopefully there are more signings like this to come, because they could certainly use more positives coming out of this program, because right now there's not a lot of it.
Yeah, no kidding. And the Big Ten last week, Oh, where did it go? I lost it. Son of a gun. Friday, I believe it was. Was it Thursday or Friday? Shoot, I don't know. Penn State beat Michigan State
That was
42 to
Friday.
nothing. Michigan State totaled 53 yards of offense. That was the biggest beatdown on the football field I might have ever seen. 53 yards of offense from Penn State on Friday. Iowa escaped Nebraska. Nebraska threw an interception with like 40 seconds left, and Iowa was able to go down and get a field goal. So they're going to the Big Ten title game, 10-2 for Iowa. Obviously, Illinois lost to Northwestern 45-43. Purdue beat Iowa 35-31. Wisconsin beat Minnesota 28-14. Minnesota is 5-7, but I believe they are going to a bowl game because not enough teams qualified. And then Rutgers lost to Maryland 42-24 late that night. And then the big one, Michigan beats Ohio State for the third year in a row, 30-24. Jim Harbaugh's suspension is up. He will be back on the sideline for the Big Ten championship. What's this current status of Ohio State right
now? I think they have a pretty good program, but they only really care about one game a year, and they haven't won that game in 3 years. So, I mean, I don't know. This is not great. I can understand why part of the fan base might want to move on from Ryan Day. In another year, I think this team still finds a way into the playoffs. However, this year, I don't think there's any real way that happens. So, sometimes it's just how things fall. It's unfortunate how the divisions and all that stuff is set up, and there's a lot you can blame whatever you want on it. But that's still a pretty damn good Ohio State football team that unfortunately just isn't going to get a shot at the playoff. But they knew they had to win that game, and they didn't. So that is obvious. I mean, that's for all intents and purposes, that is the Big Ten championship game that was played in Ann Arbor on Saturday. So it was a fun game. It was a good game. I think the state of Ohio State they're still a really good football team, but they just haven't been better than Michigan the last 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been surprising to see. Not surprised that Michigan survived the Harbaugh suspension because I don't want this to be taken the wrong way or come out the wrong way. I don't know how much a head coach impacts game day.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's why I feel more and more like the suspension. I always felt like it was a slap on the wrist anyways for what they did. But I feel like the important work for the head coach is done during the week. And on game day, it's a lot of coordinators and players performing the way that they were coached to perform. So
I agree.
But yeah, Michigan moves on to the Big Ten championship. Championship weekend, a couple of games Friday night. The Conference USA championship is Friday night. Liberty, they're undefeated, 12-0, number 25 in the country. They play New Mexico State, fighting Jerry Kills, back on the sideline. Liberty, 10-point favorite. And then maybe the best conference championship game of the weekend is Friday night, the Pac-12, the last Pac-12 championship, Oregon and Washington. I think the winner clinches their spot in the playoff.
Probably.
Maybe not clinch. If Washington wins, they do.
Correct.
If Oregon wins, I do like their chances, and Oregon is favored by 9.5. So this is kind of a de facto play-in for the championship. I'm excited about this one. I'm gonna miss the Pac-12, man. Man, what a fumbled bag by that.
It's conference. A catastrophe, if you ask me. The whole thing is just I just don't understand how they let any of this stuff happen. But yeah, that'll be a fun one. I'm excited about that one. I don't know how much of that one I'll see, unfortunately, but
yeah.
But yeah, that'll be a good one on Friday.
A couple at noon on Saturday, the MAC title between Miami and Toledo, and then the Big 12 is Texas in their final year in the Big 12, and Oklahoma State gets in 9-3, 7-2 in the Big 12. They beat out Oklahoma for the conference berth. That should be a decent one. I think Texas will take care of business there. Mountain West is Boise and UNLV. American, Tulane, and SMU. If Tulane wins, they could get their second New Year's Six bowl in a row. I think they're the highest ranked group of 5 team. So if Tulane wins that one, and then CBS has the SEC, Georgia, and Alabama. Do you see the Iron Bowl? The ending of the Iron Bowl?
I saw the ending. Yeah,
Ooh.
I wasn't watching it live, but
think that one is more chaotic than the Kick Six.
It was.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Sunbelt, Appalachian State, and Troy, and then the night games are the ACC, Florida State, and Louisville. Louisville coming off their loss against Kentucky, which I saw coming from a mile away, and Big Ten, Iowa and Michigan. Have you looked at lines yet? Don't look at it now.
At them. No.
I was gonna have you guess the Big Ten line.
I know it now.
Michigan's favored by 23.
Yeah, I would not have guessed that.
You can take it because Iowa's not going to score 23.
Yeah.
There's no way they score that. So, the over-under is 35.5 for a Michigan game. That's insane. Let's pick the big ones. Let's have some fun. We're not going to write these down or keep track, but who you got in the Pac-12?
I'll still take Washington. I think Oregon's playing better now. But I don't know. I kind of believe in Washington. I think there's some magic there. I'll take the Huskies.
Okay, I'm taking Oregon. I think they. I'm not going to say it yet. I think they could win the national title.
They could.
Big 12, Texas, Oklahoma State.
Texas,
yeah. We won't do the group of 5, so we'll just pick the big ones. SEC, Georgia or Bama?
Georgia.
ACC, Florida State, Louisville.
Florida State.
I'm going to take Louisville. I watched most of the Florida State game.
We had that one on. They're not impressed me too much, but
yeah, without Travis, they didn't look great, and I think Louisville was in a clear letdown spot on Saturday. Rivalry game against a team that hasn't had the best season. Louisville's already clinched their ACC title berth. Like it was a typical trap game. I think Louisville pulls that one out, and then I think we're both going to go with Michigan for Big Ten.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Just making sure.
Yes.
Okay. Did we cover all college football? Anything else college football? I think that's all the D1 stuff. Shout out to our Salukis.
Go Dogs, man. How about that?
First ever playoff shutout, I believe, for the Dogs, 35-0 over Nichols. I think it's not their first playoff win because they won in 2021. I think they made it to the second round, but I believe it was the first home playoff game since 2009.
First one at Saluki Stadium, yeah.
First one ever at Saluki Stadium. The crowd was not great, but that's about what you expect. So shout out to them. They're
on ESPN2.
ESPN2. They had 2 Idaho, 9 o'clock Central kickoff, 10 o'clock Eastern on Saturday on ESPN2. First ESPN televised game since 2019, I believe. I think I saw the AD tweet that. So good for them. A couple of years ago, they should have won that second round game against South Dakota State. They got screwed by the refs. They scored a touchdown, and the refs called him out early. Said he stepped out, but he didn't. So there's that. Forgot to go over the coaching carousel.
There has been some movement.
The Texas A&M saga. How about that? Shades of what was the coach's name? Was it Schiano?
Could have been.
Was it Greg Schiano that Tennessee hired and the fans revolted, and so they took back? Like they're like, wait, okay, never mind. I think it was Schiano. Texas A&M did the same thing. Reports came out that Texas A&M was going to hire Mark Stoops from Kentucky on Saturday night, I believe that's when it was.
Mm-hmm.
And fans just in an uproar against it. And so Stoops walked it back and said, no, I never accepted it. He's like, there's no way I can leave Lexington. He's coming off the win here against Louisville, so pretty emotional. And so I don't know exactly what happened. But Texas A&M ended up hiring Mike Elko, which I think is a great hire. The Duke head coach. If you can win football games at Duke, you should be okay at Texas A&M. So he was their defensive coordinator under Jimbo for a couple seasons. So good hire by them. Mississippi State hired Oklahoma's offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby. They fired Zach Arnett after less than a season and hired Jeff Lebby. Northwestern took the interim tag off of David Braun. And Michigan State hired Oregon State head coach Mel Tucker. Or not Mel Tucker. Mel Tucker's the old coach. Hired Oregon State head coach Jonathan Smith, which is a great hire for him because, again, if you can win at Oregon State, I think you should be fine at Michigan State. I believe those are the only replacements that have been announced. Indiana fired Tom Allen. Houston fired Dana Holgerson. Syracuse fired Gino Babers. And then a couple group of five. San Diego State, Boise State, New Mexico, UTEP, ULM are open, as well as Oregon State and Duke now because their coaches left. So those are just the first couple. I'm sure there are going to be a lot more. Did you see who has been mentioned with Indiana?
No.
Spider 2 Y Banana.
Say that again.
He's famous for his Spider 2 Y Banana play call. John Gruden.
Oh yes, I did see that. His
name has been mentioned.
Put on the Wikipedia page or something.
Yeah. His name has been mentioned. Ugh. But there have been a couple Indiana reporters saying that there's no truth to it at the moment. So we shall see.
What's the connection there? Is there a connection?
I don't know. My only thought is I think Mark Cuban is
He is. That is true.
So I feel like there's a connection between Cuban and Gruden. But he didn't play there. He's not from there. I don't know what the connection is.
Oh, wait. He is. I forget about this. He's from South Bend. For what it's worth. He at least went to high school. He went to Clay High School. I totally forgot about this. I've known this.
It's not exactly close.
He was born in Ohio, but he did. I mean, for what it's worth, he did go to high school here in South Bend. But
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why I totally blanked on that. I knew that. He was born in Sandusky, Ohio. Cedar Point, my favorite place.
2 questions. For you.
Yes.
I mean that just one question because the obvious answer is the obvious answer of the best available jobs was Texas A&M. Of the jobs that are left, which one would you want most? Indiana, Houston, Duke, Syracuse, Oregon State, or one of the Mountain West schools. Which one would you want the most? Or maybe what's the best job? I don't know which one you'd want the most because that's too personal. Which one's
not best? Indiana? Unfortunately, it's not Oregon State. It's not their own fault. I kind of want to say Syracuse, but that's just not really a good answer. I mean, maybe Houston.
Is it Houston? Yeah, in the Big 12.
I think it's Houston. I don't. That conference is going to look a lot different, and I'm not saying they should be front runners to do much to dominate the conference, but I think it could be winnable. I'll say Houston.
Yeah, I think it's Houston, and then Indiana, Duke, and Syracuse are all the same job because they're all basketball schools.
Yes,
and playing
Houston
football.
Houston is too. Let's be honest.
Right now, yeah, but the Big 12 is in a different situation. I feel like I would go Houston, Indiana, Duke, Syracuse. I would only put Indiana ahead of Duke and Syracuse because they're in the Big 10 and the future of the ACC. I think it's stable for now, but the future of the ACC is a little in question. The question is, Oregon State, where do you rank them? Who do they get? Because they don't have a conference right now.
I feel bad for that whole situation. I don't really know. I don't know what their future looks like. It's hard to. I would not want to be in their shoes to try and recruit players, coaches. You don't know what to tell them. You have no idea what to tell them. Yeah. I don't blame him for leaving to go to Michigan State. I don't know. I just don't know what you tell people in that situation. It's going to be.
Would you rather be a head coach at Oregon State right now or Boise State or San Diego State?
Boise State or San Diego State.
That's the same.
It's just because you just don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen with Washington State and Oregon State.
I mean, eventually they're going to join with the Mountain West. It's just a matter of if they call themselves the Pac-12 or the Mountain West. Like one of those conferences is going away.
Right.
So all 4 of those schools will be in the same conference eventually. It's just a matter of what they call themselves and all of that. So I don't think anything else has broken since we've been on here. I've been trying to keep up on Twitter, but there's talks of Chip Kelly being gone at UCLA, but they seem to be holding steady with him. So, okay, that's what we've got. Let's move on to NFL real quick. Bears play tonight. Did you watch the Bills-Eagles game?
I was watching my fantasy score just skyrocket. It was
skyrocket. Oh, that's good.
I had Jalen and he had Josh Allen. I don't want to talk about my fantasy season, but so no, I was seeing those numbers, but I wasn't.
What's your fantasy football team name?
Jalen Hulu has Life Sports. Have you not seen the Hulu commercials?
Yeah, I have.
My other team name is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers because it's on ESPN and you can use the GIFs. So I've had the same GIF of the Rangers morphing. I've had it for years.
You can use GIFs on ESPN?
On ESPN for your logo, you can use GIFs. Yeah.
How do you do that?
Just upload the image. Oh. Just upload the. I've never wanted to change it just because I love that so much.
My fantasy baseball team name used to be Power Rangers because it's like a double meaning.
Oh,
power,
yeah,
Power
that's true.
Rangers and Power Rangers.
That's true. Yeah, I don't.
All my team names are the same now. Every sport, Benchwarmers.
How original.
Yeah.
I thought Jalen Hulu has Life Sports was good. Do you not like that?
It's time. It works. It's timely because you have him. Yeah,
it's the commercial. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's But no, I was not watching that game. But I was seeing numbers come from it.
The Eagles, man. Like eventually, it has to end, right? It has to end.
You'd think. One might think.
Actually, I did just see I think they're underdogs this week at home. They're 10-1, and underdogs at home. Who's the only other good NFC team?
Niners.
Well, one of the 2 other good NFC teams. Yeah, the Niners. I believe they're 3-point underdogs.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, 2.5-point underdogs Sunday afternoon. Bears and Vikings play tonight. Bears going to pull it out?
No.
In Minnesota?
No.
I believe the line's like, is it 5 or 8? I can't remember. I don't bet NFL anymore because I'm terrible. It's 3. Minus 3.
Still no.
Thanksgiving football was kind of lackluster other than the Packers-Lions game. Even that one wasn't great. What do you think of that? Jack Harlow's halftime?
I didn't see Jack. I saw Dolly, but I didn't see. I wasn't.
Oh, Dolly. Whew.
Jack's might have been while we were eating, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's. At one point, I was watching basketball. I was watching Arizona. Was it Arizona and who'd they play? Marquette? No, Arizona and Michigan State. Yeah, Michigan I was watching that at one point. I don't know if that's when Harlow's. I did see Dolly though.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that Packers, that Lions game.
Too much of Dolly.
Not a Dolly fan.
Not really.
Between Dolly during halftime and Cher during the parade.
I didn't see Cher.
There was a certain generation that was really having a moment on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I do love Thanksgiving for the food and the football. So,
of course.
Okay. I do want to talk MLB. Things have happened.
Oh, you do? Something happened?
Did we talk about the other signings? Or were they?
I think
after
we
our
did
show
last. We talked about Lance Lynn.
Okay.
And
we did.
Whoever else they brought on last week.
Kyle Gibson.
You brought up the Marion thing, which I didn't realize.
Yeah.
But yes, go ahead. The floor is yours. The Cubs have done literally nothing so far, and the Cardinals are bringing in every 34-year-old pitcher under the sun. So
I feel like I do this with every point I make. I'm going to preface with a statement that I am happy that they're getting these people because what did I say last week about Brad in the transfer portal? You can't wait on your guys. Like the Cardinals obviously needed depth in the pitching rotation. They now have 3 proven major league starters, which,
Sure.
okay, I'm happy about that. They have an average age of 35. Their arms are going to fall off before the All-Star break. Like, if this is
I
all they do, Aaron Bennett texted me this morning about it. What did he say? He said, "How does Sonny Gray, Lynn, and Gibson sit with you?" And I sent him the GIF of the guy turning off his TV. I said, "This is me to MLB TV this year."
That was you last year too.
That was me. Yeah, I didn't watch a game after May. Yeah. I said, if it ends up being Gray, Michaelis, Lynn, Gibson, and Matz in the starting rotation, I will revolt. Like, that can't be your starting 5. So we are November 27th. There's 4 months of preseason left. They got to go get someone else, don't you think? Like, Sonny Gray can't be your one with those 4.
I love Sonny Gray, and I think that he would be fine as your one, but I agree. It's what's behind him that I'd be more concerned about. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I think if they're serious about contending, they have to add somebody else. That can't be the rotation.
They have to add
is.
2 more people. Even if they add Yoshi Yamamoto, like, that's still an average rotation.
Yeah, at
Like,
best.
Lance Lynn gave up 44 home runs last year.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at Kyle Gibson's numbers. Gray was outstanding, obviously, 2 second in the Cy Young race, but he's 34. Like, that's the thing you keep coming back to. All of these guys are 34 or older.
Yeah.
Like, you can't rely on that in today's world where every 1 out of every 6 pitchers tears their has to have Tommy John or something. Like, there has to be more to it. So am I jumping the gun a little bit? Probably, because yes, Sonny Gray is a great signing. He's a guy that Cardinals should have gone after, and they got 3 years, $75 million with a club option, no trade clause. Like, the Cardinals gave Sonny Gray the same average annual value that the Phillies gave Aaron Nola. Now, the Phillies spread it out over 7, like it's a 7-year deal, but Aaron Nola's 30, Sonny Gray's 34. So the contract runs through the 37-year season. Like, I'd rather have Aaron Nola. But again, I think it was, what is that? Trevor May, I believe. I think he's working with John Boy Media now. I think he's on their podcast. He had a good point. He said he doesn't think the Cardinals are done. And he said, when it comes to free agency, it's a 2-way street. Like, it's not a draft. Like, the player has to be interested in playing for that city too. And which I don't think Aaron Nola was. I think he was dead set on Philadelphia. So I'm not faulting the Cardinals for not getting Aaron Nola. But it's like, for $25 million a year, 365 days out of the year, I'd rather have Aaron Nola than Sonny Gray. So.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be thrilled about that rotation either. So, I would imagine that they're not done. I think your boy Trevor's right. But yeah, it's not exactly. I wouldn't be excited if I were you either. So
I mean, the home run grand slam rest of the offseason would be Yamamoto and trading for Dylan Cease. But the more realistic is probably like I mentioned, I think last week, the Blue Jays are shopping Alek Manoah. They're interested in a couple of Cardinals outfielders, trade for him, and then signing like a Jordan Montgomery back. But I don't think he wants to come back. I think he wants to either stay in Texas or go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But an arm like that, which Manoah scares me now, but going into last season, he was one of my favorite pitchers in Major League Baseball. So if he can figure his stuff out,
last year was bad. I don't know. I'd have to think that was an anomaly, but like it was.
You would think
it was really, really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to attach myself to that or not, but
yeah,
we'll see.
There's a lot of work left to be done. I hope the Cubs put all their baskets in the Shohei, puts all their cards in the Shohei basket, and then he goes somewhere else. So they have happened what I'm scared the Cardinals would have had happen, and they miss out on everyone because they wanted Shohei. Or I would be totally okay with them spending $500 million on Shohei. So either or, I'm fine with. Do you have confidence in your front office?
No, I don't think they're going to land Shohei. I don't. I don't. Not that I don't want him, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I don't think that's where he's going to want to go. I'd be fine with it, but I don't think that's happening. I don't know where they're going to go though. There's the free agent market is not exactly booming with a lot of options, and they have several holes they need to fill. So
we've got Luis Robert in the chat.
Luis, what up? Do you want to get traded to the Cardinals
to get Cease? Just not familiar with the Cardinals.
You can come to the north side.
Cardinals have a surplus of outfielders: Dylan Carlson, Tyler O'Neill, Alec Burleson. Tommy Edman is a utility guy. Brendan Donovan's a utility guy. Nolan Gorman's name has been mentioned in trade talks. And then there's a number of prospects. I think the only untouchable might be Mason Wynn. I haven't looked at the prospects lately. But the Cardinals have the power to get a starter. And I think it's either going to be Cease or Glasnow. Shane Bieber's name has been mentioned, but I think he's kind of toast. So I think they'll trade for a starter and then sign one more. I just don't know who they're going to be. Luis, if you want to come to the Cardinals, just let them know. Because the White Sox are not in a good spot. All right, we've been on here more than an hour. You got anything else you want to say, Logan?
No. I'm just happy to be.
I'm surprised you're not wearing your Santa hat today. I thought today would be the day.
Oh shoot! Forgot about it. It's right here. I honestly forgot all about that. It was back there. It was back there the whole time.
I was gonna do a top 5 today,
next week.
But we went a little.
We go long anyway, so
it's that time. We don't have to walk. We don't have to talk college football anymore now since Illinois is over, and
it's true.
We might recap conferences next week, but yeah, it's solely a basketball podcast from now on, and MLB off season, so we can both bitch about our teams. All right.
Can't wait.
By November, we are on to December. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, like the show here, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on our social medias. You're getting them all now. If you're not watching the stream, I don't know if it's Restream or whatever we use to do the platform on, but if we give thumbs up, whoa! If we give thumbs up, fireworks go off. If we give the peace sign, balloons pop up. If we do thumbs down, it starts raining. So.
What else? Can I do a middle finger?
Well, no. We might get dinged on YouTube for that. I don't know. I'm trying to do the balloons.
I don't know what other signs are there.
There we go. I got some fireworks. All right. We're going to end the show now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Post-game show Saturday we haven't talked about, but there's might be potential. No potential. We are not doing a post-game on Saturday, which is fine with me. So we'll be back next week with our show on Monday to preview the Florida Atlantic game for the Illini. Thanks for watching. We'll see